Thank you. You see English, right?
Yes.
I'll have to change the settings so I can see the notes. We'll do that after later. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Vajjana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vajjana Ranjana Sira Vanachari Yamuna Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Gauranga. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Bhakta Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Bhakta Hanuman Jaya Srinath Ji Jaya Gopal Ji Jaya Srinath Ji Jaya Gopal Ji Okay, all right. Still see? All right, so of course, Damodar month started, and I think, who was asking? I was asking Ananda Rasmati, what's her favorite Kartik Leela? And she said it's Damodar Leela, right? So Damodar Leela is also, I think, my favorite, all-time favorite Krishna Leela, Damodar Leela. I remember many years ago, I heard, I didn't actually hear, but I read and I heard recordings of my Guru Maharaj, Radha Govind Maharaj, recite Damodar Leela, and it was so sweet, and it just left an impression on me, and over the years I just enjoyed and relished hearing it over and over and over again. So this is, each time you find something new about Damodar Leela, and this is, hopefully you will hear some things that you may not have heard of before regarding Damodar Leela this time. So anyway, so today's class, it's based on a class given by His Grace Hari Parshad Prabhu. So very actually honored to have such a learned devotee such as Hari Parshad Prabhu as a god brother. He's also a disciple of His Holiness Radha Govinda Goswami. And he is actually a scholar and studies so many scripture. He's part of the Scriptural Advisory Council for ISKCON, so the GBC board and others go to him and others when they have scriptural questions and so forth. And one of the areas he's researching is actually very wonderful in terms of how he's doing it. But maybe we'll just chant some pranam mantras and then we'll just talk about this Damodar Leela. So please chant with me. Om Ajnana Tirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapalakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Nitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Parana Sahagana Lalita Shri Shashamikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patita Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Putale Srimate Radha Govinda Swami Namne Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Putale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namne. Okay, so let's start with something from Srila Prabhupada, from the Krishna book itself. Srila Prabhupada says, the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna are so powerful that simply by just hearing, reading and memorizing this book Krishna, one is sure to be transferred to the spiritual world, which is ordinarily very difficult to achieve. The descriptions of the pastimes of Lord Krishna is so attractive that it automatically gives us an impetus to study repeatedly. And the more we study the pastimes of the Lord, the more we become attached to Him. And this very attachment to Krishna makes one eligible to be transferred to His abode, Goloka Vrindavan. So this is the benefit. Prabhupada has just encapsulated very nicely the benefit of repeatedly studying. Right? Damodar Lila we've heard so many times, so many Kartiks, in each Kartik we hear it so many times, but we repeatedly study it, we repeatedly try to dive deeply into the merits of it, and it gives us so much pleasure. And as Prabhupada is assuring us that it's only by this process that we can make real spiritual advancement. So this is the background. So today's class is actually based on a commentator, not such a well-known commentator of Srimad Bhagavatam, but still an incredible commentator, right? So we'll talk a bit about him. His name is Hari Shuri. So Hari Shuri, he has written commentary on the first 49 chapters of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. 10th canto, only 10th canto, he wrote a commentary. He appeared in Nashik in around 1810, so that's after all of our great acharyas, even like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and so forth, the whole lineage, right? So that's why we don't hear of him so much, and that you don't hear of his reference. But he appeared in a Kashyaputra Brahmana family in Nashik, and they were followers of the Sri Tukaram Sampadaya, so Brahman's Kirtan Sampadaya. And he took a very, very stringent vow at the age of 30, right? At the age of 30, he took this great vow. He says, every day, wake up before sunrise, chant his Gayatri. He would chant the entire Vishnu Sahasranam, and then he would chant 12 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he would serve the cows for an hour and a half. And after all that's done, then he would accept his first morsel of food. Right? So at the age of 30, he took this vow. And he actually continued practicing this vow for around 12 years. And an interesting incident occurred that one day while he was serving the cows, he was just serving the cows as part of his daily routine, and there was a tap on his shoulder. And he immediately knew from the sense and the touch who was tapping him on the shoulder, right? I think we can all guess, right? And of course, it was none other than the Supreme Lord Krishna himself. He got one darshan of Sri Krishna. That was it. In his whole life, he got that one darshan of Krishna. And it's said in so many places in the scripture, if you're fortunate to even get one darshan, even a glimpse of the Supreme Lord, then you are delivered. Your life is completely successful. So this was, 12 years later, around the age of 42. His name, actually, before it was Hari Shuri, his name was Hari Baba Shastri. And when Krishna tapped him on the shoulder, he addressed him as Arbhak. And this means that, Krishna is saying, I have already accepted you as one of my children in the spiritual world. You're done, you're finished, right? But before you come back, I have this important task for you that you have to complete. Before you come back, Krishna says in Srimad Bhagavatam, specifically 10th canto, all of my pastimes are there, and there are many, many reasons that these pastimes were performed. So what I want you to do is I want you to document the reasons behind the pastimes. When we generally read the pastimes, we read the pastimes, the leelas and so forth, and we treat them as stories, but very rarely do we understand what Krishna's reasons for performing those pastimes were. So this was Krishna's task given to Harishuri, and Krishna assured him, don't worry, I will manifest these reasons in your heart. All you have to do is write them down. And at that time, Krishna gave him the title 9 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam, or 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. There are around 2,500 Sanskrit verses. And Harishuri wrote around 4,600 verses as his commentary for these 49 chapters. His commentary is called Bhakti Rasayanam. Bhakti Rasayanam, the elixir of Bhakti. So the reason why Harishuri is so prominently important, especially for me, especially for disciples of Radha Govind Maharaj, is one of the few sannyasis in virtually every katha he used to quote Harishuri. Not so many people did. Harishuri, he would quote them, and of course this isn't commonly available, it's only in Sanskrit, and there's no like English translations or anything available or readily available, but still. So Haripashad Prabhu, he has taken on this service of writing or translating the commentary into first Hindi and maybe one day into English too. So this next picture is a very interesting picture. This is Haripashad Prabhu discussing this Bhakti Rasayanam of Sri Harishuri with our Gurudev, Radha Govind Maharaj. And this, if you look at the expression on Maharaj's face there, you can understand the depth and the content and the sweetness that's embedded and kind of somewhat locked inside this commentary of Bhakti Rasayanam. And when Haripashad Prabhu was here last time, he would always say that Maharaj is anxious. He's always saying, when's the next chapter ready? When's the next chapter ready? He wants to read so much his commentary. So Haripashad Prabhu is doing a wonderful service for the community at large, but especially for Guru Maharaj by making this commentary readily available. Okay, so that's just the background. So let's discuss a little bit about Damodar Leela. Of course, every good story starts with what?
Once upon a time.
Yes. Okay, Krishna book. Once upon a time. Once upon a time, right? It's Srila Prabhupada writing. Once upon a time, seeing that her maidservants were engaged in different household duties, Mother Yashoda personally took charge of churning butter, and while she churned butter, she sang childhood pastimes of Krishna and enjoyed thinking of her son. Right? Mother Yashoda sang. So we've again all heard this, right? Everyone knows why Mother Yashoda was personally churning the butter. Why did she not engage her maidservants? Anyone remember? Padmakanda cows, right? I mean, there's that, yes.
Because Krishna was stealing from other people.
Yes, she wanted to make special butter for him, but she could have asked the maidservants to do that also, right?
Krishna was stealing from others, other neighboring.
Yes, that's why she wanted to make special butter. Yeah, it's actually, commentary says it's more straightforward than that. ultimately, we know this Leela took place on which day?
Diwali.
Day of Diwali. And then what happens the day after Diwali? Govardhan Puja, right? So it's a big festival. In that time it was Indra festival, right? But still, it was a big festival. And we know, even in this temple, when we're preparing for a festival, everyone is busy doing everything, right? So the maidservants were all engaged in doing all kinds of things. So no maidservants available. So anyway, she decided to churn the butter herself. And while she was churning, she was singing, right? She was singing. We all heard she was singing. But anyone know what she was singing? Yes, specifically, but Jiva Goswami actually documents the actual song she was singing. The actual song she was singing. I was going to attempt to try and sing this, but in the interest of time and avoid embarrassing myself, we won't attempt to sing it. But we'll talk about a little bit of the translation. This was the actual song she was singing, right? Gokul Pati Kula Tilakatvam Ashiha. Right? So Gokula Pati. Who is Gokula Pati? Nanda Maharaj, right? Nanda Maharaj. So this is Gokul Pati Kula. So the dynasty of Nanda Maharaj, Tilaka. Tilaka means you are the Tilaka, right? You are the prominent element of this this dynasty. She's singing about Krishna. Tvam. She's saying, Tvam Ashiha. You are. You are. Kritasu Kritasu Raja. We have performed so many pious activities in the past. And therefore, Suraja Rachita Shukha. Suraja Rachita Shukha. Therefore, therefore somehow this bundle of happiness, you, Krishna, has arrived into our Vraj family. Nayanidhi Samiha, just by gazing at you, our eyes get amazing happiness. Right? Nayana. Anod Bhava Janma Mahotsava. When you were born, we celebrated a great festival, right? So when Krishna is born, we celebrate what? Janmashtami or? Nandotsav, right? Nandotsav. So we celebrated Janma Mahotsav, Nandita Gopa Samaja. Nandita, our whole Samaj, our whole town, our whole community celebrated in such a wonderful way. The whole Samaj of Nanda Maharaj, the whole society was so happy, very, very happy. But our happiness was short-lived. Why? Right, why? Puttanika Mriti Nava Mangala. Puttanika Mriti Nava Mangala. Kriti Valiyata Gokula Raja. Few days later, Putna came, but immediately you killed her. And by killing Putna, you ensured auspiciousness for all of us, for Nanda Maharaj, Gokul Raj, right? So in this way, you restored auspiciousness for everyone. Then, Tribhuvana Darshana. Tribhuvana Darshana, right? What's this about? Mouth. The Tribhuvana Darshana. A few days ago, I saw all the three worlds in your mouth, and it put me in immense surprise. I was bewildered. Vishmaya Mashana, it bewildered me and put me in shock almost. And she says, Nishchita Vaishnava Maya. Definitely this is Lord Vishnu's Maya. Right? This is Lord Vishnu's Maya that did this, right? And then the last line is very cute. She says, she's praying for Krishna. Hari Vari Vashya, Sukhad Atmasya. Right? So she's praying that Hari Vari Vashya. Dear Krishna, may you always engage in the service of Hari. Right? She's singing to Krishna, who is Hari himself. She's saying, may you always engage in the service of Hari. May you always be happy performing the service. Performing this service to Hari, right? So she doesn't know, right? Shya Vigata Jaramara and Shya Vigata Jaramara Kaya. And may you never get old. May you never get old and diseased and so forth. So this is Mother Yashoda's song and prayer for Krishna. Just, you can understand Mother Yashoda's spiritual elevation state and her mood of thinking of Krishna just as her child, right? Just as her child. So, okay, so then what happens? Then, we know, Krishna appears on the scene. Right, so again, we'll read a little bit from Krishna book. There were drops of perspiration on her face, and the flower garland which was on her head scattered here and there. Before this picturesque sight, Lord Krishna appeared as a child. He felt hungry, and to increase his mother's love, he wanted her to stop churning. He indicated that her first business was to let him suck her breast, and then she could churn butter later, right? So, at that same moment, exact moment as she's churning, Krishna wakes up and he comes outside. And he stops Mother Yashoda and he says, and indicates, I'm hungry and I need to drink milk, right? So, this Hari Shuri and Hari Pashi Prabhu, they point out that Vrindavan Leela of Krishna is very, very different from other Leelas, right? Because in this Leela, the Supreme Lord as Lord Krishna, he actually becomes hungry. He becomes hungry and then he becomes angry, right? He becomes angry. So he, in this Leela, exhibits all of the characteristics which are in direct opposition to the characteristics of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is Aptakama, he never gets angry, he's self-satisfied, he never gets hungry, right? Can we imagine that the Supreme Lord, who is the root of all good qualities, peace and so forth, he's going to renounce his qualities and then exhibit these mundane qualities, emotions and so forth. So actually we'll see later on in this Leela, maybe we won't see today, but later on in this Leela, Damodar Leela, we will see that gradually, one by one, all of the qualities that the Lord has, he will be forced to renounce, the qualities of God. And the conclusion is that these qualities, they don't apply inside the borders of Vrindavan, right? Outside, yes, outside Krishna will be Paka, he will be himself, exhibit all qualities, all balance. But in Vrindavan, he does not bring the baggage of the qualities of Godhead. He has to leave that outside Vrindavan. And he is forced to behave and live like an ordinary citizen and has to exhibit the normal qualities of a normal person. So this is Vrindavan Leela. So, so as I said, he is Atmaram, but for the first time in his pastimes, he actually felt hungry, right? So, so then what happens? Right? Krishna stops the churning rod, and we go to Srimad Bhagavatam, in chapter 9 of 10th canto, Damodar Leela. Tam stanya kama ashadya matanintim jananim hari gritva dadimantam nashedat pritim avahan. While Mother Yashoda was churning butter, Lord Krishna desired to drink the milk of her breast, appeared before her in order to increase her transcendental pleasure. He caught hold of the churning rod and began to prevent her from churning. So now let's see. This is still baby Krishna, he's a toddler Krishna. He crawls there, and look at the confidence and audacity he has, right? He doesn't go and plead to his mother or ask her. He just goes there and grabs the rock, grabs the churning rock, right? So demanding immediate attention, not after a minute or two, but right now. Right now you have to stop and now you have to attend to me, right? This is my adhikar, right? Krishna is demanding. And you can imagine, she is engrossed in chanting the glories of the holy name. She's chanting rigorously with her arms, and it's quite dangerous for a little toddler to grab that rod. Could hurt himself. But Krishna, he has full confidence. He has full confidence. He grabs the rod and stop now, right? Your first priority is me. In one sense, this is emotional blackmail, right? You have to stop doing, look after me, that's it, right? And so this is the lila that we normally read. But now, at this point, we turn to Harishuri. He has something interesting to say, right? He has something interesting to say about this event in Damodar Lila. So Harishuri says, actually, this is the terminator of karma. And this is the commentary of Harishuri. It's in poetic form, in Sanskrit form, verse form, not just kind of writing in text. Right? So he says, Mai priti na bhi karmani uchite pi kritantaja yato danda tharosmi asmin aham evetya bhodayat. Right? So by holding the churning rod of Krishna, Krishna is indicating something. He is becoming danda tharo, the holder of the danda. So what is Krishna trying to tell us? Harishuri explains. And it's not just for Mother Yashoda, it's for all devotees. He says, Mai orite. He says, mai priti. He says, once, priti means love, once you have developed love for me, mai priti, once love for me has been attained, right? So, does Mother Yashoda have love for Krishna? Yes, right? So Mother Yashoda has attained love for Krishna. So, yes. So he says, mai priti na bhi. Says, na bhi. Do not be afraid. Says, do not be afraid. If I stop the churning process, right, don't be afraid. So what is he referring to? He's referring to for all of us. If we develop love for the Supreme Lord, and if one day the Lord comes and he stops the churning of our lives, and as Prabhupada referred to this churning rod, and the churning refers to our existence in material life, right? So if the Supreme Lord comes and he stops or drastically interrupts our material life for whatever reason, right? He's assuring us, do not be afraid. Krishna is saying, once love for me is attained, don't worry, even if I come and stop all of your material activities, right? Prabhupada used to describe this as the material cauldron in which our material life exists. But Krishna is reassuring, right? Mai priti, I may personally come to stop all your material activities, and if I do that, you still have no need to worry, right? No need to worry. So, are we in that situation? Right? Are we in that situation? Let me ask anyone. Right? If something drastic happens to us, all of a sudden we lose our health or wealth, or we lose our job, or something happens. How do we think? Right? How do we think? Right? This is an instruction of Krishna. We don't need to worry as long as we have that connection and love to Krishna. But still, we may worry, right? Because according to Shastra, we have to perform our duties, right? That's the second line. Uchita hepi kritanta ja. Right? If we don't perform our prescribed duties, and even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, karmanya avite yotikaraste ma phareshu kalachana. Don't even be attached to not doing your duty, right? It says, if we don't perform our duties, we can be punished. We can be punished by Yamaraj. And Yamaraj, he has a big danda. And so the devotee may say that, it's okay for you to say, don't worry, but if I don't do my duties, Yamaraj is going to beat me on the head with this big danda. right? And punish us for not performing our duty. But Krishna reassures, don't worry, because danda dharosmi asmin, I am the holder of the danda, right? For the devotee, I hold that danda, not Yamaraj. Right? So this is the inner meaning that Harishuri is explaining for the reason why Krishna is holding the danda, right? So danda dharo, holder of the danda. All right. So now we can imagine that if everything went fine and Krishna fed him milk and then he was happy and satisfied and he continued, nice day and so forth. But no, in all of Krishna's leelas there's always twists and turns, right? Krishna is crooked by nature, introduces these twists and turns in everything he does. So, as we know, right, as she was feeding milk and he was drinking milk very happily, then something happened, right? Something happened, we know in the story, that the milk on the stove that Mother Yashoda had left started overflowing into the fire. So Krishna did this as part of his lila, introduced a little bit of spice and really set the scene for the whole Damodar lila, right? And actually, it said that Krishna, he inspired Mother Yashoda to look at the stove and look at the milk that was boiling over. And we've heard many, many times, right, that what have we heard about the milk?
Milk want to commit suicide.
Milk is committing suicide, right? Now is that reasonable? Can milk commit suicide?
Yes, in the spiritual world everything is personal.
Everything is possible. Yes, milk is also animate, right? Everything is living, even this milk. Yes. There's another example to support this. Damodarastakam, last verse. How does it go? Last verse.
Namastestu damne.
Namastestu damne. What does that mean?
The rope.
Rope. So we are offering obeisances to a piece of rope? Is that reasonable? Is that reasonable to a piece of rope we're going to offer obeisances? So, okay.
It's also living. It's also living.
It's also living and magical, right? If that rope actually during Damodar Lila magically expanded and contracted and did all kinds of things to facilitate that Lila. So even the rope was living, so it's not unreasonable, right, that the milk would be living, right? So, so milk committing suicide. I mean, we've heard this many times, and it kind of makes sense. But who came up with this realization? Anyone know? Good guess. Good guess. It was actually said that someone asked one of the big sannyasis, where did this come from? Sannyasi said, I don't know. I've heard it many times, but I don't know, right? And then this question went round and round and round. Eventually it came to Haripashad Prabhu. Haripashad Prabhu said, I don't know either, but I know who thinks about these things. And then he researched Harishuri's commentary, and so as you would expect, Harishuri has something to say about this milk overflowing from the stove. And again, we won't read the Sanskrit, but it's very sweet. This is actually chanted in the Shardula Vikritam meter, the Shat Goswami Ashtakam meter, but we'll read. So it says, Yan Nama Shmitir Apiyalam. Yan Nama Shmiti Apiyalam. It says, and we know this too, just uttering the name, remembering the name of the Lord, just the name of the Lord, it can give us relief, peace, and freedom from anxiety, right? Anxiety from the heat of material life, the burning of the material world. So this milk is thinking here that I'm hearing the names of the Lord. Mother Yashoda is singing so beautifully, but not only that, I can see Krishna is right there. Krishna is right there in front of me, but still I'm burning alive, right? The milk is thinking how fallen I am. how fallen I am that even the Lord's appearance, His presence, cannot give me relief. Shame on my existence. What is the point of continuing? Better let me die in the fire. Right? This is Harishuri's realization. It says, the boiling milk thought, here is the Lord, by remembering whose name all the burning heat of this world is driven away. Yet I am the only one who is still burning in His personal presence. Fire upon me and my existence, right? So seeing that the milk was thinking in this way and contemplating suicide, by jumping into the fire, the Lord made arrangements for Yashoda, the personification of truth and joy, to see the spilling of the milk, right? So, and this is Harishuri's analysis, to say that he wanted Mother Yashoda to rescue the milk, who was feeling in this way. This is his first reason for the milk overflowing. And then, of course, his second reason here, he says, Shtanya param vikshya harim chulishta payognim avishad sama jati yokshara praya sarvasya dusho bhavati. The milk on the pot, this is also a very interesting analysis too. He says, the milk in the pot, heating up on the stove, was seeing Krishna relishing and enjoying the milk of Mother Yashoda. So he started boiling over with envy, right? Envy. When one god brother sees another progressing and making so much spiritual advancement, it's natural, right, to become a little jealous, little envious, and so the milk saying, why not me? So Harishuri is telling us we should not think like that. We should be happy with our own progress and not become envious, right? So seeing Hari attached to the breast milk, the milk kept in the container upon the stove started burning and entered the fire, right? Burning with envy, right? Of course, it is natural in this world for a god brother to burn in envy by seeing the great progress achieved by another god brother, right? So therefore, it's the milk. So this milk was the first casualty, right? Okay. All right, let's switch to Nrsimha Lila, right? So we all sing, right? Ugram Viram Mahavishnu Jvalantam Sarvatomukham, right? So now, Krishna and Vishnu, are they the same?
Yes.
Krishna and Nrsimha, are they the same?
Yes.
Yes and no.
Yes and no, right? So what happens in Damodar Lila, right? Not Ugram Viram Mahavishnu, Ugram Viram Lagu Vishnu. Lagu Vishnu, right? Lagu Vishnu, right? So again, it's from Krishna. Left in that state by his mother, Krishna becomes very angry. His lips and eyes become red in rage. He bites his lips with his teeth, and taking up a piece of stone, he immediately breaks a butter pot, right? So yes, ideally we know Krishna as Ugram Vira Mahavishnu, but here our Krishna, of course, he is Vishnu himself, but he's going to be demonstrating courage and bravery, right? He's still going to be courageous, and he's going to be brave by breaking the pot, but he's not Mahavishnu, he's Lagu Vishnu, right? So we know what he's going to do. He becomes very angry. He's known as Shantakaram, Bhujagashayanam, right? But only outside Vrindavan that applies. Inside Vrindavan, all bets are off. Right? He bites his own lower lip, and he's hurting himself. Right? This is like self-violence. Right? Self-violence. He bites his own lower lip. Right? He exhibits frustration. And he takes one object and throws it at another object. Can the Supreme Lord really be frustrated? So we'll see that here, one of his characteristics is gone. His Mahanta is gone. But by the end of Damodar Lila, he will no longer be Ugram. He will no longer be Viram, right? Or he will no longer be Sarvato Mukho, right? So gradually, Mother Yashoda will bring the Supreme Lord down from his pedestal of being the Supreme Lord, right? Mother Yashoda, the only devotee who will, just as Krishna punished Indra and removed his ego. Mother Yashoda will remove the ego of the Supreme Lord Krishna, bringing him down from that platform of being the Supreme Lord, right? All of his upadhis by the end of this lila will be removed one by one, right? And this is really what happens. All right, so we'll do a little bit more, then we'll maybe continue some other time, right? Okay, so the God who hurts himself, right? This is again, I didn't get the Sanskrit from the commentary, but the translation, if I make the result of my anger, dharashrita, employed on dhara. This is, again, Harishuri's explanation for why the Supreme Lord becomes angry. So if I make the result of my anger, which is in the Sanskrit, it's dharashrita, employed on dhara, meaning the earth, then my vow for protecting her will fail, right? So we know, right, that the demigods and everyone went to the spiritual world and begged Krishna to come, and for the protection of the earth went as a cow, and Krishna assured Bhumi in the form of a cow that he will protect her. So the first point, Dharashrita, if I do that, then my vow will be broken. Of course, we also know that Bhumi, Dhara is one of the earth's, one of the mothers, right? Prabhupada said we have 7 mothers, and it is inappropriate to vent out one's anger on her. So thinking in this way, Lord Krishna, who had vowed to give happiness to the earth, he made his anger adhara, right? Not dhara, adhara. And adhara means lower lip, right? Lower lip. So Harishuri is interpreting the adhara from the perspective of Krishna not wanting to exhibit his anger on the earth, so he is adhara, on his lower lip, right? So if, thinking he vents his anger on adhara, which means the lower lip, right? So sweetness turns to violence. Why does the Lord become violence? Right? So this is the last point, and then I'll stop, right? So here Harishuri says, Yashodaya vihinashya pumsha syat idrik evahi kritya jatamiti vyaktam krishnena darshi tat chalat. So Yasho means fame, right? And Daya means mercy, right? So Harishuri is his interpretation. He's saying anyone who has become devoid of good fame and devoid of mercy, he will be forced to resort to violence. He will lose his good intelligence, in sense. What happened? Yashoda left Krishna, went to get the milk. So Krishna became bereft of Yasho and Daya. So he became violent. Right? So you just think how Harishuri's mind is working, right? So you can explain, right? So a person devoid of Yasho, good fame and Daya behaves in a similar destructive manner. In order to show this, Krishna enacted this destructive pastime, which is Harishuri's reason why Krishna broke the pot. Right? So our time is up, but Harishuri's sweetness continues. He explains in so many ways why Krishna ran, how Mother Yashoda caught him from behind, how his kajal was spreading and what really that meant, how to interpret that, how, again, Krishna's reasons for performing his pastimes, right? But, we will maybe have the opportunity to, I just wanted to at least give you all a flavor of kind of the depth that's in the Damodar Lila itself. Add fruit, but we'll leave you with the message that this can be continued at some point in the future. So, thank you. I hope you found it interesting, and I got a little bit of taste. If you want to hear more, just on Google or on YouTube, find Hari Parshad Prabhu's classes on this. He explains much more eloquently and recites the Sanskrit so beautifully and really draws us into that Leela. So I certainly recommend you do that. But thank you all so much for your attention. Hare Krishna. Next week is Bahulashtami, and we have another Kartik festival next week. But we will find some time. We will find some time. It's